The first time I ever heard the name of Bishop Carlton Pearson was on a movie I saw a few years ago called Come Sunday. At that time, I was pretty deep into, I just became a Christian, and I hadn't gone as deep as I am now about researching the history and culture of Christianity and everything else. But I found it interesting. Um, and I don't know why, because I usually don't watch movies that are like that. But to give kind of a short synopsis for those that don't know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people around here that do know, but in the mid 90s, Carlton Pearson was a really close friend. In fact, Oral Roberts said that he was the son that he wished he would have had. That's how close he was to Bishop Carlton Pearson. Well, Carlton Pearson was the head of a church that, I think at its height, had around 5,000 or 6,000 people. Now, this is the mid 90s when there was no social media. So to have that big of a following was unheard of in Tulsa. But he did. Well, one of the great things about him is that it wasn't, he's a black pastor, and it wasn't an all black church. It was a very well mixed church, which was an important thing. In the 90s, we started it's when the height of people started mixing a lot more than they did from the civil rights. Everything has its progression, but that's beside the point. It was a great step in the right direction. Well, one night, he's at home and he sees an infomercial about kids in Africa. And, and it hit him. He's like, and he started praying. He said, God, how can you send these kids that are in Africa that have never had the opportunity to hear about Jesus? How could you send them to hell? Because according to the Christian belief system, that's exactly the way it is. And according to Carlton Pearson, he said he heard a voice like it was his own that said, is that what you think really happens? He said the voice told him, and of course I'm paraphrasing everything, but the voice told him that that's what his son died on the cross for, was that so people wouldn't go to hell because they sinned. And so he decided, hearing this and having this, this conversation, and he truly believed that he spoke with God. And I'm not going to say whether he did or didn't. There's plenty of people out there with our own opinions. That's my position about it, is it's not my business. How can anybody tell somebody that, no, you didn't hear from God because of this? Well, he goes to his congregation and he actually talks about it. And it pissed a lot of people off, to say the least. There are people that actually walked out on him in the church service. Well, when he gets done with service, his associate pastor tells him that he needs to recant. His own mother told him that he needs to go up there and say that that wasn't really what he was trying to say. So the next church service, he actually gets his associate pastor to read out of the Bible, and he starts reading verses, and I cannot remember what the verses were. That concluded that what he was told actually was true. That, when people died, they're not going to hell. And that upset a lot of people in the church, and it upset a lot of people now. And so then, a good percentage of his congregation just leaves. From that point, it just goes downhill when it comes to his own congregation. He got disowned by family, friends, associates. His associate pastor left him. He lost the church. He actually got convicted of, I say convicted. I think the Black Pentecostal charged him with heresy and convicted him of heresy, and kicked him out of the church. And he was disowned by Oral Roberts. Now that's to say, that's the short synopsis. Of course, he still maintained in the church. In a church, he became a Universalist or Unitarian church. He's a member of that and preaching in that and stuff. And he stayed in church, but he sacrificed everything because he truly believed that he heard from God. And I'm not going to give my opinion whether he did or not, because it doesn't matter what I think. But I actually admire that kind of faith. I mean, you got to understand, this is a man that was wealthy, that was famous, a celebrity. He had a congregation and everything, and he lost all of it. His wealth, his congregation, his celebrity status. He lost family, friends, all because he stuck to, he believed he heard from God. And of course, I know the Christians, I can already hear people bitching and saying, well, he didn't, and that's blasphemy. Who am I to say? You know, they actually accused Peter of the same thing when Peter heard from God that told him to eat of the food of the Gentiles and to go to a Gentile's home. You know, he was considered blaspheming their laws and the Torah and everything. But unlike Peter, the other disciples, Paul, notably, actually said, well, if that's what you say, that you heard from God, then I believe you heard from God. Well, people don't do that. Instead, they started trash talking. In fact, I lost a couple of friends simply because I said that I admire, you know, somebody who, like, I admire that quality, that amount of faith. I never said I agreed or disagreed with his actions or his words, but to admire that kind of faith is, I mean, who wouldn't? You know, it's kind of like saying you can't say that Hitler was a good speaker because he was a bad guy, he was evil. Well, yeah, Hitler was a good speaker. That's how he got everybody to follow him. He was the devil incarnate, but he was good at speaking. He's good at rivaling the troops. Not to compare, you know, Bishop Pearson to Hitler, but the same concept. Anyway, I say all this because Carlton Pearson died a couple of days ago on the 19th. I believe he was 70 years old and he was fighting cancer or something. But what bothers me, and I know I'm talking about some friends of mine, but not really hating on them. We don't have to agree on everything. But it bothers me that this is par for the course for what I've seen a lot of Christians do. Is people would say, you know, pray for his family, bless his family, stuff like that. But they always throw in there, I hope he found Jesus before he died. And I've heard people say, well, should we even be giving him the same accolades as somebody who fought the good fight and stayed faithful and died? My question is, why does that matter? I mean, I understand that's what your beliefs are, but I guarantee you that you go into a church and get everybody honest about what they really believe, you'll get everybody fighting. Because I have been in them conversations because people know I'm not going to judge them. And I found out some people believe in reincarnation, some people believe in this and that, you know, but they keep it quiet because they don't want to be judged. Why would we hate on somebody that passed away simply because we don't agree with what he said? He believed it. Why can't we just love somebody? And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things I totally disagreed about his politics. Me and him probably would not get along if we started talking politics. And religion, I don't know. I didn't listen to a lot of his preaching because I don't listen to a lot of preachers. I'd found that it's a good way to get led astray. It's good to be swayed into something that's not really true or right. And who am I to say what's true, and who are they to say what's true? Because I guarantee you that there are parts of the Bible that have been mistranslated, misunderstood. Don't believe me? King James Version. Somebody says the word Mary, Merry. to be merry. Well, that would be to be happy, right? No. Back then, that meant courageous. So could you possibly mistranslate something when you're trying to say something? Yes. There's lots of that. So you got to follow your heart. You got to follow your spirit. You have to actually have conversations with God, which I know a lot of people don't believe that's real because they say you can't have conversations with God without reading the Bible, which I don't understand that. I mean, none of the people in the Bible read the Bible because there was no Bible. You know, they read the Torah, the Old Testament, you know, the Jews did. But to judge somebody when they had died, that they everything they did was because they thought that they were doing right. They truly believed that they were helping people. And Oral Roberts, his son, homosexual, was actually suicidal because his dad disowned him, was getting ready to just totally throw out the idea of heaven. There wasn't a God because, you know, how could he be gay and be thrown out like that by everybody? Well, there's a lot of people that are hurting like that. They are hurt by the church because they're judged by the church. You may not agree with Bishop Carlton Pearson, but one thing he did that a lot of people can't seem to do is he loved them anyway. He didn't go around telling people that, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. What does it matter? Where in the Bible does it say if you don't believe in hell, you're going to hell? Where does it say that? And he never did say that he didn't follow Jesus. He didn't say that. You know, that people get so wrapped up in following the 3 days that they completely forget everything that Jesus taught. It's like that's not important. So does that mean that everybody that died prior to the salvation exercise that people tell you have to say, do they go to hell? I mean, they didn't have a chance to know. I mean, there's a lot of questions. Why hate somebody because the answers they get aren't the same as yours? I have lots of questions and I get hated on for it. If the only way to go to heaven, and I'm not saying I have answers. I don't have answers. I don't know anything. I admit that I don't know. But a lot of people can't admit that they don't know. But here's a question. If the only way to go to heaven is to believe that Jesus died on the cross for our sins and that he is God incarnate, and that's the only way to go to heaven, and Israel is God's chosen people, but they're Jews and they don't believe in Jesus at all, how do they go to heaven? It's kind of a paradox. I mean, I don't know the answers. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong about it. Not wrong as in the answer I gave, because I didn't give one, the question. Maybe I'm wrong about that being the way it is. But give me the answers of what your opinion is. And the reason why I can't stand it when people say they know anything is because if you know, then it's not faith. It's not. Faith is believing something without the evidence to say for sure. Then you can't know. Knowing is having enough evidence that's saying beyond a reasonable doubt, this is the way it is. Somebody give me the answers. Tell me what you think. All I'm saying is love. Love people regardless. Love Bishop Carlton Pearson regardless. I didn't agree with a lot of things he said, but he meant well. He tried to love people. That's a lot more than I can say for a lot of Christians that I know. A lot of Christians I know don't try to love anybody. They pretend, they talk, but they're not there. God bless. Hey guys, I want to personally thank everyone for liking and sharing my videos. If you want to continue to see my content, all you got to do is press that subscribe button and I'll notify you as soon as a new video comes out. I don't get paid for any of this. So if you want to buy some of my merch, like my shirts, like Jesus is a Badass or my Don't Be a Dick shirt, you can easily go to my merch store, which is at sogtv.org, which I will have it in the description at every video. So push that. Go buy yourself a shirt. I appreciate it. Have a blessed day, and I will see you at the next episode. Thank you.